is Margaret Peebles, and I work here at the Gail Borden Public Library and Public Services. And have you guys heard how Tom Hanks was filming in New Zealand, and he was taking a break, walking around, and he was distracted, and he fell off a 30-foot cliff? That's Forrest Gump, you guys. And that's one fake news story that I did fall for completely. And yes, someone did come into the library to tell me that story, that had happened. The public library serves all ages. We have a very unique and important role to fill in this age of fake news, alternative facts, and post-truth. A recent survey by the Maine State Library stated that librarians are the second most trusted professionals out of 22 professions. Do you want to know what the first one was?
Who cares? Who cares? Well, we should know so we can knock them out.
The first one was nurses.
Well,
okay. That's okay then.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, right. But we do feel this trust every day here at the Gail Borden Library when our customers come to our desks and ask for assistance with research, tech help, or just to have a conversation. A January 2017 article in Public Libraries magazine really nailed this fake news issue on the head for me. It says that fake news is not just an election issue. It is an information and media literacy issue. And who better to help the public navigate information and evaluate media sources than our librarians? Our librarians feel it's their role to guide all of our users to accurate sources, which makes the public library a great weapon in the fight against fake news. Where else do users go to ask for help with their reference questions or ask a second opinion on an email they receive that may look a little fishy, or even just come in and have a conversation about how Tom Hanks fell off a cliff? All of these are opportunities for our librarians to teach about credible sources, database use, evaluating websites, and general critical thinking skills. It reminds me of a transaction that took place many years ago when I was a children's librarian at another library. And this was close to probably over 20 years ago now, so it just shows how long librarians have been fighting against alternative facts. But this young gentleman, this young student, came up to the reference desk. He had to do a research paper on bioluminescent animals. Now, bioluminescent animals are like fireflies. They have their own biochemical way to create and emit their own light. And this young man was so proud. He thought he was so ahead of the curve because he'd already chosen his animal. He came up to the desk and he said his topic was the bioluminescent squirrel. Didn't sound quite right to me. I couldn't remember seeing any squirrels glowing in the trees. So I immediately kicked into librarian mode and I said, okay, where did you find this topic? How did you choose it? His answer, found it on the internet. Of course. So I asked him to show me the website, and he brought me to the web page, and the web page was actually, this was the name of a garage band, the Bioluminescent Squirrel.
Sure. It is a good band
name for a band.
Hopefully they'll get some hits now that you mentioned them.
I know. And as you scrolled through the page, you could really tell quickly this was not.
This is hard.
Yes. But it was a great opportunity for me as a librarian to teach this young man more, to perhaps read more than just the headline, as Jim was saying, read a little further than the headline, and critically think about your sites. We work one-on-one with our young customers every day here at the public library. We should be incorporating digital literacy as much as we can in every reference transaction that we have. This way, children can grow older and take those critical thinking skills and evaluate what they see online as they become adults. Although, in this era of fake news, evaluating what you see online is becoming more and more complicated, even for the savviest adults. Some people are starting to get their news while using browser plugins. A browser plugin is just a little program or an extension that can be added into your web browser. For example, Ad Detector is an extension for Chrome and Firefox that spots paid content or sponsored stories on your website. If a paid ad or sponsored story comes up, Ad Detector will turn the top of your window red, and it just gives you an alert. This is perhaps not a real news story. This is paid content. The Skokie Public Library created a great PDF guide online that lists 5 different browser extensions. Amy Kester, the Youth and Family Program Supervisor at Skokie, created this site. And we're going to post this online at gailborden.info/fake news. So if you want to get these websites and links after we speak today, you can go there and find more information. Overall, it's hard to find a list of all the fake news sites online because the web is an ever-changing and very volatile place. According to the Daily Dot internet news site, Melissa Zimdars, a media professor at Merrimack College in Massachusetts, did begin to compile a list of fake, false, and regularly misleading websites. Unfortunately, the list was removed due to threats and harassment that Professor Zimdars received. However, if you go to the Daily Dot news website, you can search for fake news, and they compiled the list of 25 fake news sites identified from the professor's guide. Also on the Daily Dot, they give some tips from Professor Zimdars on how to look for fake news, and I wanted to share some of those with you today. The first tip, avoid websites that end in LO, L-O. An example of this is the site Newslo. These sites take pieces of accurate information and then package that information with other false or misleading facts, as they call them. Sometimes this is for the sake of satire. If you look at the Newslo site, they claim to be the first hybrid news satire site. But boy, if you go on there, it's really hard to tell which is the news and which is the satire. Her second tip, watch out for websites that end in .com, .co. They're often fake versions of real news sites. One that's been going around and is pretty famous is abcnews.com.co. That is not the Channel 7 news that I watch every night. That's a very different website. Number 3, if the story makes you really angry, then it's a good idea to keep reading. And the fourth one is my favorite. It's always best to read multiple sources of information to get a variety of viewpoints and media frames. Of course, I love this one because I think everyone should read more critically, and read at the library. Other ways to fight fake news, especially fake political news, are to use fact-checking websites. Katie, you mentioned your favorite LibGuide. My favorite LibGuide came from the Public Library of Albuquerque, and they list some great fact-checking websites. The first one is PolitiFact. It's P-O-L-I-T-I fact, PolitiFact. That's a Pulitzer Prize-winning fact-checking website. Factcheck.org is another one. And of course, Snopes is S-N-O-P-E-S. That's one of the longest running debunking websites out there right now. Just as we talk about reviewing your websites, you can also review your fact checkers. All of these pages I mentioned do have the about information, so you can find out who your fact checkers exactly are. As a citizenry, we deserve real news and hard facts, allowing us to make up our own minds using accurate information and not being persuaded with lies and half-truths. Libraries and librarians need to be on the front line, advocating for ourselves as information literacy educators, helping sift the real news from the fake news, and provide true and accurate information to our communities, because our communities deserve true and accurate information. I encourage everyone, all the librarians, to have a program like this at their library, continue the conversation, and know librarians are the best weapon against fake news. Thank you.